Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
got it.
Great, thank you. So we just wanted to provide a brief introduction about We Act and our mission. We've been around since 1988, and we've worked to build healthy communities by ensuring that people of color and or low-income residents participate meaningfully in the creation of sound and fair environmental health and protection policies and practices. So just gonna break down this meeting for you with our agenda. So I already introduced We Act, but we're gonna do breakout groups in a few minutes and meet each other. And then we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about the planning committee for a little bit. And then Chris Dobbins has some information for us about a speaker training that's open to all members. And then I will be giving a presentation on community power, which is a new campaign that we're working on. And then Christopher Casey will give us a presentation on voter engagement for this year. And then we'll have our closing remarks. So I wanted to start off with some Zoom housekeeping. Don't overpopulate the chat box. Stay on mute unless you're asked to speak. And then, on the bottom, it has like all the features to raise your hand. If you're on the phone, you press *6 to mute and unmute yourself, and then *9 to raise your hand. The mute button is on the lower left corner. And if you're calling through a mobile device, dial *6 to mute and unmute. So we have speaker view and then gallery view. You can choose as you wish. I like gallery view because I can see everyone and it kind of creates that sense of community. But you just click on the bottom or on the upper right corner to see, what the different views are. And then there is an option to raise your hand if you want to ask a question during Q&A. You click on participants, which is on the bottom, and then you tap on the blue hand, and the facilitator will call on you, and then your mic will be muted. Polls, so it's a way for us to hear from multiple people at one time and just to learn from each other. So occasionally we'll have polls. It provides us a way to focus on environmental justice issues that are important to you as residents. So if you're on a computer, you'll be able to participate in the poll. If you're dialing in through the phone, a member of our organizing team can follow up with you about your preference. Community agreements. So we ask you just to be present and to participate. Speak with the I perspective, one microphone at a time, so one speaker at a time. Move up and back, and then land your plane, just get your point across, and then respect other points of view. Just always be respectful and aware of that. And then this is a judgment-free zone. So those are really important issues. And now Charles has some announcements.
Okay, welcome everybody. So as you know that we're going through a process of change. So I just wanted to announce some of the new hires that we have hired in the last 2-3 months. So I just wanted to make sure everyone is acknowledged. So Sonal Jessel has become the Director of Policy. Christopher Casey has become the Director of Voter Engagement. Myself have become the Director of Membership and Organizing, and Yuwa is the Environmental Policy Advocate Coordinator. So these are some of the new positions that we have hired, and we're going to continue to make us stronger and hire some more. We will be at full capacity, hopefully in the near future. So moving forward, now I'm going to have a breakout rooms. We have, how many people we have? We have close to 95. So I need at least 20 breakout rooms, Bleen. And while you guys go into your breakout rooms, I would love for you guys to say hello. And as always, we have a new year here present in our lives. So just talk about one thing that you're going to improve or change in the new year. So just be patient. You guys are going to go in breakout rooms for 5 minutes and then you'll come back. It's a random, so I hope you get to meet some new people, see some people you haven't seen in a while. Bling, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, then let it happen.
All right.
You got 19 breakout rooms, yes. Everyone click on the screen for the breakout rooms.
Bleen, you can leave me in this room in case people have tech issues.
Okay. Are you in a room right now or?
You assigned me to 3,
Okay.
or I got assigned to 3.
Okay.
And now you assigned me to 1. Looks like Peggy and Evelyn might have both stepped away from their computer.
Okay.
You're on mute, Evelyn, if you're speaking to us. I can't hear you. Is anybody else having problems getting into their breakout rooms? If anybody's speaking, you're on mute. Russell? I thought Russell stepped out, so he might be away from his machine. And Peggy, if you can hear me, I don't know if you're there. Your microphone is muted and your video is off, just so that you know.
Did I put you in the right place, Carlos?
I'm set for break room 1. Is that this one?
That's why I'm confused. Because I'm looking for my name.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I hate about Zoom. They still haven't fixed. They don't alphabetize the list of names.
Okay.
If anybody else needs help getting into their breakout rooms, feel free to unmute and let us know. All right, well, new people, if they come on afterwards, they'll be coming on to here. So we'll just have to keep monitoring.
I'm assigning them.
And looks like 4 people here are on a computer and 2 people are telephone, probably telephone only.
Mhm.
So to be honest, I don't know what the prompt is like when you're on the phone and it asks you to accept a breakout room invitation. I don't know if it might be one of those things where it says press 1 to join or 2 for later. And so if they didn't hear the prompt, they might not get
Yeah.
put into that room.
Okay, they have 1 minute left. I'm gonna close the rooms and that should give a minute. Hello? Hi,
Hello.
someone's calling.
Hello.
Hi, Tamika.
Hey, what's up?
How are you? So everyone in here, were you guys just standing there? Oh, okay, everyone's coming back now.
This is Angela Harris from Newport News. Am I in the right group? It's just telling me push buttons.
It's
we're
okay.
all
We
coming back to it.
yeah, we're done with the breakout rooms. We're coming back now.
Oh, okay. Are you guys following the water break in Newport News where that main break of sewage has poison and released 58 gallons of raw sewage into the waterways? Are y'all following that?
No, I haven't
No.
heard that. What's the city
You're
or
muted.
Newport News,
It's
Virginia.
We're not
right.
following
So
it at this time, but we will be following it. So what's your name again?
I'm Angela Harris, your only Virginia partner in Newport News, Virginia. The native village, which is Hobson, the whole village water fish stuff has been poisoned. There's an emergency meeting today in Newport News with the Nottoway Indians are coming to Newport News. So if you guys are not watching that stuff that's been going on for a week, the whole waterways from here to Canada has been poisoned. And our affiliation with this group is the water, the port situation, and all those cool things. So if you are not watching, please take a look at Newport News, Sewage Breach, and the Hobson Village, which is on the other side of the river. Their whole fishing situation has been poisoned. They need food, resources, and all those cool, wonderful things. So who on this line is the person for Virginia that I can give your number to the village direct so that we can do what we say our group do, which is empower the people and help the people in a time like this.
You know something?
So who is the
I'm
number?
going to, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, right after this meeting, I'm going to give you a call and I'm going to
Thank you.
contact you and we will make sure that we figure out more information and see what we can do to help the situation in Newport News. Okay?
Okay, and who am I speaking with?
You're speaking to Charles Calloway.
Charles.
Calloway.
Hey, Charles Calloway, can I get your number so I can
Not a
have
problem.
the young
not a problem. 917
917
561
561
7209.
7209. All right, and we will be calling you. Our meeting is at noon, and hopefully you can just listen in, and then we can have a conversation after.
So I'm going
I appreciate you.
I'm going to thank you for informing us, and we will get back to you today at noon. Okay?
All righty, I appreciate you.
Not a problem.
And also get a website link to the news information.
Yeah, we'll get all that information. She'll call me. I'll call her this afternoon. I do have her number. Let me just write it down to make sure we have it, and then we'll we will follow up, okay?
It's a really big deal, not just the fishing, but also a lot of the poison will get into the drinking water itself.
All right, we will follow up. All right.
Charles, this is Diana Blackwell. Good morning, everybody,
Good morning.
and a Happy New Year. Charles, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, Happy New Year, everybody. Sorry, I'm late. I will be down visiting my mother in Hampton on the 19th of this
All
month.
right, so this is what we're gonna do.
I know you're gonna talk to her and get information, but if she has a package or anything she needs, she's not gonna send via email, I'll be glad to meet her and pick it up for you.
All right, so this is what we're gonna do. Thank you. We gotta get our meeting out of the way. I know this is an emergency, but as soon as we get our meeting out of the way, and I understand that she has a meeting at 12 where I will get more information about. So let's move forward with our meeting. The next thing on the agenda is our conversation on the planning committee. Juan, are you ready? Blaine, can you bring up the planning committee slides?
Got you. 1 second.
Juan? Where's Juan?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Everyone can hear me? Yes. So, yeah, my name is Juan Gores, and I am the chair of the planning committee. And welcome. Happy New Year. And I'm going to talk about basically we're recruiting for the planning committee. I've been a WEAC member for approximately 4 years. I've been with a planning committee going on to my second year, and we're here to discuss and ask people if they are interested in joining us, and please join us. And the planning committee is basically about the membership, getting you guys information, services, education. So let's move forward, Charles, please.
Next slide.
Yes, great, nice. Okay, so basically the planning committee oversees and implements WEAC membership initiative. Basically, we recruit members, and basically we communicate between the membership and the staff, and we ask people to participate. If you want to be a part of the planning committee, these are some of the things that we got to do. It's basically we work towards the goals of WEAC, and we basically ask people to join WEAC and planning committee. Let's move forward to the next slide, please. So there are 9 members in the planning committee and 1 mission member. Basically, it's a democratic process, and you have to be in good standing to be a planning committee member. You have to participate, whether it is in group, in training, which you guys already do, on an ongoing basis. And the term of the office for the planning committee is 2 years, and you can serve an additional 2 years, and then you can skip a term if you want to rejoin. So I'm going to be up next term. Let's move forward, please. So there are several positions within the planning committee. There is the chair, which is what I do. Basically, we set up meetings, we oversee the meetings. There is the secretary, which basically talks about the agenda, the meeting agenda. There's the officer at large. I'm sorry about the dog in the background. There's the staff liaison. There are several subcommittees that you can also participate within the planning committee. Let's move forward. So the subcommittee are the outreach committee, the communication committee, the policy committee, a health subcommittee, and basically each of them has a different specialty that they work on. And you want to know more, please join us. Let's move forward, please. And these are our planning committee member and some of the staff. Great. So back to you, Charles.
Okay. So, Blaine, can you put in the chat the link to if you want to become a planning committee member? I know that at the last meeting in December, we had 4 people. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to you because the holidays came around and, you know, but I promise you next week, all the people who have considered being a planning committee member, I will be calling you starting on Wednesdays to talk about it and see. Make sure that you understand all the responsibilities that are necessary to be planning committee. So hopefully we'll have a lot of people looking forward to being part of the planning committee. Does anyone have any questions while we are here talking about the planning committee? Lawrence, Roger, I saw you.
I just have a quick question about it.
Yes.
Lawrence, I want to know, what is a vision member?
A vision member is a person who lives outside of Northern Manhattan. We action member is a person who lives inside of Northern Manhattan in our catchment zone. Okay. All right,
Thank
Pamela.
Hi, Lawrence.
Cheryl. Sorry about that.
I just had a quick question. Oh, I had a quick question about the time commitment. How many other meetings are there? What's the time commitment like?
I would like to have someone from the planning committee answer that.
So the time commitment is 2 years, and we do basically we plan for each and every membership meeting. We meet usually on a Friday, usually every Friday, although we do skip some holidays, you know, and there are exceptions, but we basically meet on an ongoing basis, and we do it right now. We're doing it via Zoom. And when we get back to normalcy, then we usually meet in the office. But, you know, I guess, you know, that's like open to discussion how the meeting will be conducted moving forward.
All right. Does anyone, any other planning committee? Hello?
Lawrence Riddick raised his hand.
Okay, Lawrence.
I had, the question I asked you was why I raised my hand. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. So you say you raise your hand to understanding what a we action member is and what a
No, a vision member I asked about, and I raised my hand when Mr. Goris was talking. That was what I was going to. That's what I was going to ask.
Okay,
That's
so
why I raised my hand.
your question is answered.
Yes, it is.
All right. Anybody else who has any questions around the planning committee?
Okay, so don't forget to if you want to participate, to put your request in the chat room, and Charles will respond to you and give you a link where you can sign up. Is that?
It's already in the chat box.
Yes.
Gwen, do you want to have any comments around the? Gwen has a hand raised, so let's see. Gwen, unmute yourself.
Hi. Yep. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. I've been on the planning committee for the last 2 years and has been a very educational experience. Being a part of the committee, you come together with other members and you get to bring to the table issues that that you are passionate about. Like myself, I'm very passionate about homelessness and the spike that's happening in New York City. With Cecil, God bless him. He introduced us to policy making and understanding really the structure of being a fierce advocate for environmental justice. So if you have particular skills, you can bring that to the table and really add to the mission of the organization. So I really encourage people to join because you get a chance to really hone in on your skills and learn new skills that could be useful in the future. So I really enjoyed being a part of the committee for the last 2 years, really getting to know Juan Gores and many other members, Anthony. So yes, please do sign up. It's very beneficial for everyone in the long run.
Thank you very much, Gwen. Okay, so we have a presentation from Nicole, who's going to talk about community power.
Great, thank you, Charles. I'm just gonna share my screen. So I'm really excited to announce a new campaign that we're working on. It is called, hold on, sorry, my dog is a quarantine dog, so he needs lots of attention. So you might hear him in the background. But today we're going to talk about community power, which is a campaign that we're working on. It is a program where low to moderate income households in New York City can save money on their electric bills with community solar. So I just kind of wanted to do an overview of what this presentation will look like. I'm just going to give the definition of community solar, community power in the project, how it works and who are the partners, and then show you what solar looks like on NYCHA buildings, and then you know, a little bit more in-depth conversation about community solar, how to save with community power, membership into the NYC CEC, which is the co-op that owns the solar panels and arrays, and then benefits to you and to the community, and then any questions that you may have. So first off, I just wanted to share about what community solar is. It's a form of solar energy that allows individual households to share one large solar energy system and reduce their energy bill through solar credits. Community power is a community solar project coming to your neighborhood. It'll be here in Northern Manhattan. So what is community power? Well, it's a community solar project that's coming to Brooklyn and Northern Manhattan. The system is going to be owned by the New York City Community Energy Cooperative. We're looking for local residents to join the cooperative and share their solar energy system with 350 other households. Each month, the solar panels will produce energy that appear on your Con Edison bill. So on average, these credits can reduce your energy bill by around 20% each month. And the community solar systems are going to be installed on NYCHA developments. In Upper Manhattan, it'll be installed over at Carver Houses. And then there will be installations as well in Central Brooklyn. What's great about this project is that we also provided job training and employment opportunities for NYCHA residents. And so we have hired NYCHA residents in East Harlem for these installation processes. So our partner organizations with community power, well, we're doing the community outreach and ensuring that people know about this project. Solar One is providing customer enrollment assistance. And then the NYC CEC is the solar energy system owner and co-op management. And then Con Edison is providing project oversight. So Solar One is a nonprofit that we're working with, and they're working with a lot of technical support and assistance and enrollment support and kind of like the back end of customer enrollment. The New York City Community Energy Cooperative, they'll be the owner and manager of the Community Power Project. You must join the cooperative to join Community Power. There are additional benefits to being a co-op member, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And then the NYC CEC, the co-op is a part of the Co-op Power New York and New England regional network of community energy cooperatives. So, when you have a share of the co-op, you have a share in future projects, and you can express your opinions and be able to vote in kind of like hearings with the members. So additional partners that we're working with is Brooklyn Movement Center, Accord Power, they're the solar installer, NYCHA, they're the solar host site, Green City Force, they're providing workforce training, and then Con Edison, which is providing project sponsorship, development, and support. So solar at NYCHA housing. So as the largest landlord in the country, NYCHA owns a lot of roofs that host solar energy systems. NYCHA committed to host 25 megawatts of solar energy, and projects must be developed by nonprofits or small businesses in the local community. We must also train or employ NYCHA residents and then serve low to moderate income customers, and they must be able to sign up. And so we're installing solar energy on NYCHA buildings, and you'd be able to receive credit for being a part of this co-op membership, but the energy goes to the overall New York City grid. This is kind of what the solar energy systems, this is the location of where they'll be. So Carver House is the northern Manhattan location, and then we're also installing over at Kingsborough and Glenwood. This is kind of like a close-up look of what these solar arrays would look like on top of these buildings. So you can see that, you know, the buildings are flat, and this is how the energy will be collected. And then we're working with Green City Force for solar for NYCHA residents, and it's a 3-week. So we've already hired these NYCHA residents, but it was a 3-week solar training program with a paid green apprenticeship, and we've also provided job training and support throughout the process. So the installation at Carver has already been completed, and we're starting installation over in Brooklyn now. So just a little bit more about what is community solar. It's kind of more the technical aspects. It's a solar energy that it allows individual households to share one large energy system and reduce their energy bill through solar credits. So so you'll receive solar credit, and it'll show up on your Con Edison bill. So a little bit more about why community solar, why it would we just wanted to increase accessibility to residents here in New York City. Solar is a growing industry, but there are a lot of barriers. Some of them include that installation for solar energy is expensive, that there's not enough space, and that, you know, a lot of people are renters, so they don't have access to their own roofs to install solar energy. There are several benefits for the community and then for participants. You know, for the community, you're supporting local solar energy projects and workforce development opportunities. We're hiring people within the community, and you know, like the future of solar kind of these future projects can follow the success of this one. And, you know, there are a lot of participant benefits as well, such as lower monthly energy costs. You have the NYC CEC membership, so you have you're kind of like a stakeholder within the co-op, and you can make decisions and kind of learn more about different projects in the area. And then there are customer-friendly terms. So community solar is a solution that we've that allows solar energy to be accessible to everyone. You know, the way that it works, you know, is that there will be a participation agreement to join the NYC Community Energy Co-op, and then you will receive a portion of the solar energy produced, and then your portion will be converted into dollars and appear as an adjustment on your Con Edison bill. So some membership activities in the cooperative include organizing buying groups to bring additional energy resources to the local community, a vote in membership meetings, and, you know, and whatever the cooperative chooses. So I just wanted to review some key terms, because I know it can be kind of confusing that they're both community solar, community power, but community solar is a shared solar energy system that allows individuals to receive solar energy credit directly on their individual electricity bills. Community Power is a program, so it's an example of community solar energy, where low to moderate income households in New York City save money on their electric bills with community. And then the NYCEC, it manages and owns the solar arrays, and the subscribers will become members. And then energy credit or adjustment that will appear on your Con Edison bill equal to the amount of electricity produced by the solar array. And then it will be a 20% discount, which is like the solar subscription. But, you know, in addition to all the benefits that, you know, Con Edison customers receive and you as an individual, there are a lot of, and like with a lot of benefits to the community, there are also a lot of environmental benefits with this program. There will be reduced greenhouse gas emissions. This is locally managed renewable energy, and there are job training and employment opportunities. And so, you know, we're keeping it local, and it will, you know, have an impact within New York City. And then eligibility, you have to be a Con Edison customer, and then a low to moderate income like resident within Northern Manhattan or Central Brooklyn. You have to be up to date with your Con Edison utility bill, and then you must have a checking account or a similar online payment method. And then after signing up, Community Power will provide the participation agreement, and they will support you through the sign-up process, guidance to select a payment method, a confirmation email, and then monthly savings will appear on your Con Edison bill. And you can sign up here at this website. It's communitypower.nyc. We will be having an additional, like a Solar 101 info session, and other community partners will be at this session. So it'll be Solar One, and kind of describing more in more detail of how the project works and how you can be saving. So the info sessions are January 27th at 6:30, and then January 30th at 11. You can find the info session link over at communitypower.nyc. I don't know if it was already placed in the chat.
Yeah,
but,
I just put it in the chat for you guys.
Huh?
You can place in the chat, Blaine.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, awesome.
Both of the links are in the chat.
And so yeah, so that, you know, if you have any additional questions, now is the time to ask. But yeah, but I hope to see you all at the info session, and I'm really excited about this project. And if you do have any questions that you don't want to ask me right now, you can email me or call or text, and I'll be happy to answer them. But are there any questions right now?
Yeah, any questions right now, please ask them. Who's got their hand raised?
There were a few questions asked in the chat.
So can you read them out, Blaine, so that way we can get them?
Okay. So someone had asked if Community Power is available for HDFC. I'm not sure what that acronym is.
Hold on, there's a few questions. Let me go through them. Okay, so the program isn't, so someone asked if it was only for NYCHA residents, and it's open to everyone. And if you are a NYCHA resident, it really depends on your, what do you call it?
If you have a metered building.
Yeah, if your building is direct
Con Edison bill.
Yeah, so if you have a Con Edison bill and it's direct metered at your building, you qualify. But it's low to moderate income residents in New York City. And then Nicole, can you explain how community solar is different from ESCOs, energy service companies, which gouge customers? Yes, so this is something that we've come across in our outreach initially, is that a lot of people fear ESCOs. And I actually have a pretty comprehensive list that I can send you, but let me see if I can find it, of how it differentiates from an ESCO, because
the major way that it differentiates from an ESCO is that it's not going to gouge you. These are guaranteed savings that we have come up with Con Edison. and also with the financings, that you will not get a bill in 3 months that's going to be double what it is. As you know, when we went through the ESCO crisis, they would sign you up and you get the savings in the beginning, and after 3 months, you will get another bill and you're saying, where's my savings at? This won't do that. This is guaranteed savings, right? 20% or either $10 or $15 of savings each month, guaranteed. They will not go up. It will not go up. As we were doing outreach, everyone was scared because they thought we were in ESCO. We are not in ESCO. We are community power. We put the solar up on top of Carver houses, and you will not have a problem with getting savings. Okay.
Yes, and I just wanted to add, like, I also have additional information that goes more into depth, but ESCOs are kind of for-profit energy companies, and they kind of have a history of misleading people, especially low-income residents, into their projects. Whereas, something that I use to differentiate ourselves when I'm out doing community outreach is that our project is affiliated with nonprofits, and it allows individual households and businesses to share a local large solar energy system. But because I show that we're invested in the community, that we have hired people in the community, that we're working with local, local and small businesses like Accord Power to do installation, and that it is local. It's not somewhere, that this, because ESCOs kind of say, like, we have this and you can be a part of it, but a lot of their like solar panels or windmills or all of that stuff is like in different locations, whereas this is like, I can tell you it's at Carver Houses, and I can show you on a map where Carver Houses is.
Okay, so yes, any more questions?
There's a few more. Is that $350 per group? Yes. So it's 350 total households that can apply, but don't let that number, it's limited for now, but it, potentially in the future there could be more. And then is there a way to ensure there's an expected credit, some way to ensure residents aren't left hanging if it's a particularly cloudy year? So, solar, what's nice about community power is that you do have consistent communication with Solar One and with community power. So if there is kind of, even if it is cloudy, it should even out throughout the year. And like some months.
So the way solar works is that you get so many calendar hours throughout the year on the average. So they're taking the low end of the average of the calendar, the sun calendar year, and you will get the savings that you expected. It may not be at every in the wintertime, but you'll double up in the summertime and so forth, so on. So yeah, that's the way the calendar and solar works.
Okay. Thank you, Charles. And then does solar production result in revenue for NYCHA that they can direct back into building improvements? We have a lease with NYCHA, but it's only for the community solar program. It's not going towards any other capital projects within NYCHA. And then community power registration is the solar used in NYCHA developments where they rely on Con Edison. So, for example, the solar arrays are going to be installed at Carver Houses, but Carver Houses, they don't have the residents don't pay direct metered. They're not direct Con Edison customers, so they won't be able to use the solar energy or the credits. It's just going on to the overall grid. But many other NYCHA developments and residents at those developments have access to this opportunity. And we've made sure to hire people over at Carver Houses so that we can at least address, be able to give them priority in that way.
Any more questions?
And yes, it is low to moderate income residents. I can send a link over to how to see if you qualify. And then, let's see.
There's Judy and Donna have their hand raised.
All right, Judy, Donna, go ahead.
Oh, so yes, this is Donna, I'm sorry. The question asked about the HDFCs, only because it says low to moderate income housing, and HDFCs are, I think, considered as such. So we have a lot of our members that live in HDFCs, and they are co-ops.
Right, so let me get back to you on that.
Yeah, because I know they might
definitely
be
got you.
interested in that.
Yep, I will definitely
Thank
find
you,
out that too. Yep, you got it. Judy?
Yeah, she answered one of the questions, because I know that NYCHA residents don't have Con Edison bill. But the other question is, I'm trying to understand how this works with the apartment being heated and the lighting.
Okay, so depending on your apartment, if you get electric heat, then that will offset the electric heat. It's really also, and if you get, I think most apartments nowadays get a gas or oil or fossil fuel, but if you get electric heat, then that would offset the electric heat.
And for the lighting?
Yeah, it would offset the electric. So anything that electric, it would
electric.
Electric.
Okay. All right.
Anybody else have a question or two before we move on?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm sorry. I don't know how to raise my hand on my iPhone.
But I got you.
It's Tamika. My question is, since NYCHA residents do not pay Con Edison directly, has anybody negotiated a credit towards their rent since NYCHA is benefiting from that?
NYCHA is, that's a good question. So there are some people who in NYCHA who do pay Con Edison bills. Carver does not. Is NYCHA getting a credit for that? NYCHA is getting some sort of money because they're using their property. So they have leased out their roofs for this project. Is it going into that particular Carver houses? I am not sure. I'll have to get back to you. Nicole, do you have that answer?
No, all I know is that we have a lease with NYCHA, but I don't know if it would have a direct impact on Carver residents.
Right. We don't know if it has, but I'll get back to you with that answer, Tanika.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? Henry, yes, Lewis, Mr. Kleiman.
Do you need any volunteer help to get the word out? And if so, will you want to put up a Google Doc for people to sign up?
Yeah, I think that is good. We do have a Google. There's 2 links for our next 2 meetings. And if you need to, I'm pretty sure Nicole would like to talk to you about if you have some idea about getting the word out.
Yeah, I can create a Google Doc and then you can sign up through the Google Doc. And then that way I have your information and I can reach out to you about possibilities with helping out.
Okay. Diana Blackwell, you have a hand raised?
Yes, thank you. I would like to just make sure that some of the NYCHA residents that are online know that all developments do not have free electricity. Some do pay Con Ed directly.
Right, like your complex, Fred Samuel houses.
Yes, so not all of them. Some of them don't have direct metered and some of them do. So if you have direct metered and you pay your Con Edison bill, then you qualify to sign up.
Okay. All right, Joel?
Yes. I've done work with Smith and St. Nick's. When there's been construction on the roof, even to do the rebuild of the roof, we've had problems where the roof's opening up, we've had contamination below. We just want to make sure that, those roofs are assessed properly in terms of construction and engineering, and it's done the right way.
Okay. I hope they are doing it the right way. If you have any issues, let us know. And Judith, do you have your hand raised again or?
No.
Okay. All right. So I think we're done with this segment. Chris Dobbins, I kind of skipped you. I want to bring back to you about this training that we have.
Thanks,
Dean,
Charles.
go back to Chris Dobbins and put up his link.
Okay.
No worries. I don't need the slide or anything. Good morning, everyone. It's Chris Dobbins, Director of Communications here at WEACT. Gwen was talking earlier about skills and training and advocacy. We're here to help you out. As many of you know, we have a long-standing partnership with the folks at Columbia, the Mailman School of Public Health, and we've partnered with their communications team to provide a free spokesperson training workshop for our members. It will be this Thursday, January 14th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. I'm dropping in the link in the chat box. It's free to all WEACT members, so please sign up. If you'd like to help us with our campaigns and advocacy work this year, I encourage you to attend this training. You'll learn how to tell your story in a more clear and compelling way, with greater comfort, greater confidence. And if you want to talk to reporters, meet with elected officials in Albany, provide testimony at City Hall, this workshop will help you do that better, we hope. So like I said, the link's in the chat box. If you have any questions, reach out to me, Chris at weact.org. I know some of you are already signed up, but I encourage all of you to attend if you can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. And please do sign up and participate. Just another announcement for all you guys who are part of the Healthy Homes Working Group. We have a meeting this Tuesday at 6 p.m. Around Healthy Homes. I just want to make sure you guys know that. And now we're going to come to our main attraction. Is Chris, who's going to be talking about voter engagement and the plan for 2021. Christopher, are you here?
I sure am, Charles. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Chris and Nicole, for that great presentation. Good morning, everyone. I'm Christopher Casey. You can't see me, but hopefully you do see my picture in the screen. I'm the Director of Voter Engagement here at WEACT for Environmental Justice. And what I want to do today is talk about something I'm really, really excited about, which is a voter engagement plan that will be part of a broader campaign that we will do this year that will, we hope, impact the elections that will happen in our fair city this for the primary in June and then in November for the general election. And so I'm going to talk a bit here. And so I want to make sure that I get as many questions as you can, or as we can. So I'm going to have a moment where I'm going to take questions. And so I suggest that you just put them in the chat box as I'm going through, because I'm going to go through this and then open it up for questions. Or you can email me and I'll give you my email at the end of this, at the end of the presentation. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's go to the next slide. Wow, I didn't know I had music. So this is our agenda for today. I'm going to talk a little bit about why we're doing this plan, like why this is happening, some context for all of you so that you know sort of what this is coming from, our goals for the campaign, and then the components of this campaign. And you can think of also the components as a strategy, as you are. Next slide. So a little bit about why this plan. For those of you that have been following us for years, we here at WEACT, we don't just sort of do things aimlessly. You know, we actually do have a strategy for this organization. And one of the things that we did years ago was to really think through, you know, how do we leverage what we do in the world in different ways so that we can build more power. And one way we build power in the world, in addition to speaking to our representatives and making sure that they do the things we want them to do, is to elect representatives that will do what we want them to do. And in order to do that, we need to get out the vote. You know, we need to engage people around our issues and actually elect people that will do the things that we want them to do. So a big part of our strategic plan has been to engage in electoral work, which actually goes back to the early days of WEACT, the very early days, which emerged out of democratic politics here in the city. The second reason is the elections. This year's elections in New York City are going to be huge. Almost everyone is up for, because of term limits, they are going to be sort of turfed out. And so we're going to have a good deal of the city council, the mayor, the Manhattan borough president, the Manhattan DA, the controller, like all these people that have all this power over how this city functions and what it does. All of those folks are going to be up for election this year. And this is an opportunity for this organization and those of us that care about environmental justice to do some incredible game-changing work, okay? And so that's the second reason. And then the third reason, and you'll see this more in terms of sort of the numbers that I'm going to talk about today, is COVID. If COVID was not around, if this plague was not, you know, in this country and in this city harming our communities, this plan would look very different. Okay, but because we have COVID, you know, the things that we would like to do and sort of, you know, numbers that we would like to hit, we may not be able to do, you know, and so this plan reflects both our need to get the vote out and register more people, as we'll talk about in a minute, but also that we're going to need to do that in a way that protects these communities and our staff for the work. So just keep in mind, those are sort of the whys. Next slide. So I do want to talk a little bit about sort of the context of where this comes from. This plan, you all should know, is a component of a larger campaign we will wage in 2021. Okay, the primary goal of this campaign is to compel the major candidates running in the election this year to endorse a NYCHA resident crafted policy platform that aims to fix NYCHA's many problems, okay? NYCHA's operational problems, which all of you, particularly of those of you that live in NYCHA are familiar with, must be addressed if we are to advance environmental justice in this city. They have to be addressed, okay? And this platform will be a list of policy demands. Okay, some of you might be familiar with, say, the People Climate March, right? And they had sort of a platform of demands that they were making of elected officials. The same was true for Black Lives Matter. Campaign Zero, if you just sort of Google Campaign Zero, you'll see sort of their platform for what they want local officials, what they want state officials, and what they want federal officials to do around the issue of police violence against Black and brown bodies, okay? We will have a similar platform. It won't be like theirs, but obviously it'll be a platform that seeks to make changes to NYCHA. And then the other thing to note is that I'm only going to be mostly talking about sort of the voter engagement part today. I'm not going to be talking about sort of like the campaign name, the campaign slogan, and other things that we're going to do in this campaign, like the candidate forums. We will talk about that in future membership meetings. I'll let you know, hey, this is the campaign name, or here's the, you know, the candidate forums we're going to do, but we're not going to talk about that today. So I just wanted to be clear about that. All right, next slide. So if we're going to do a campaign, any campaign that is effective in the world, whether it's a campaign like this or the ones that we just went through as a nation are actually just finished literally this Tuesday, a good campaign has to have good, solid, measurable goals. And these are the goals of our campaign. I just want to read them out very quickly. The first is we plan to recruit and train and develop and mentor, or recruit and train, develop a voter engagement organizer, so a new staff member. We actually have hired that person. We hired them in December of last year, and they will be working with me and others here on staff to sort of to materialize this plan. That's an important part of our goals. The second is to recruit, train, and field 15 volunteer teams consisting of 15 volunteer organizers who live in NYCHA and are based in NYCHA developments. So think about all the NYCHA developments in Northern Manhattan, like Carver and Grant and Dyckman and others, right? Our goal is to literally, work with and recruit people in those communities to build teams that will help us do the voter engagement and voter registration work that we're going to talk about here in a bit. Okay, that's a major part of our goals. The third goal is we do want to register over 1,000 voters and collect over 3,000 voter pledges. Voter pledges are just simply sort of a pledge that we will ask of everyone that we talk to about this campaign to pledge to vote in the primary in June. And the primary, just so that everyone can know, the date of the primary this year is June 22nd, okay? The other thing that we want to do is the other goal is to produce sort of 5 educational videos. One thing you all may or may not know this year is for the first time in our history as a city, we're going to have a different ballot than we've been used to as residents of New York City. We're going to have to, for the first time, when we go into the voting booth, we're going to have to rank by order and by preference our candidates, okay? So if there's 5 candidates for mayor, you're going to need to rank them in order, okay? It's called a ranked choice ballot. I think like many people may not know how to do that. And so that's why we're creating videos around. One of the videos will be, for example, how to do and how to fill out a ranked choice ballot. We'll have other videos, for example, about sort of the candidates that are running so that you all get to know like who's running in your area and what they stand for and that sort of thing. The other goal is we do want to increase our presence on social media. And so that means we want to increase the number of Facebook followers and YouTube followers, and we'll likely do that through the use of those videos I talked about earlier and other content. And then the final goal, and this is sort of the big goal, right, is we want to turn out 1,000 voters in the June 2021 primary and 2,000 in the 2021 general election in November, and most of those folks need to be NYCHA residents, okay? So these are the big goals. This is sort of the anchor by which we're going to do this work and measure ourselves against for this work, all right? Next slide. So if those are the goals, sort of what are the key components to ensure that we actually reach those goals, okay? And there are essentially 5. The first is the one that I mentioned in the first goal, is we want to build these volunteer NYCHA development-based teams. So a team at Carver, a team at Dyckman, a team at Johnson. The second component is we want to register voters, mostly NYCHA residents who are not registered. We have a means of figuring out through the benefit of technology who in a particular NYCHA building is not registered. Okay, and so we're going to actually go speak to those people, let them know about this campaign and this effort to change the very conditions in which they live in through this effort in our platform, and register those folks. The third is we want to educate voters and members. As I said earlier, we're going to do those videos. The fourth is GOTV. Okay, so GOTV is during the last 2 to 3 weeks of this year, right before the primary and right before the general. So there'll be sort of 2 GOTV parts of the work. We're going to speak to all that. We're going to recontact everyone that we've registered to vote, everyone that we've asked to take a pledge, and say, okay, everyone, this is it. We need you to vote. We need you to vote for these candidates. And that'll be the other part of that's the other component. And then the final one is the one I mentioned earlier in the first goal, our voter engagement organizer, who's a remarkable and dynamic organizer, is a major part of our components. Okay. All right, so next slide. So I want to go through each of the components in a bit more detail and talk a little bit about how a lot of you might be wondering, okay, how are you going to build volunteer teams in NYCHA developments? Like, how will that work? What is your strategy for that? Okay, and I want to talk just a little bit about essentially how we're going to do that. So we believe in a sort of a concept called the ladder of engagement. And all this really means is sort of a protocol by which we encourage people to volunteer and take on more and more volunteer sort of experience and activity. And as you go up this ladder, with each rung, the activities get more and more sort of challenging. And eventually we will ask that person as they go through that activity to become a leader. Okay, this is a sort of a concept that a lot of great campaigns out there in the world have used literally throughout the last 40 or 50 years of American campaigning, and we're going to do it here at WEAC. So next slide. To give you kind of an example of this, and I'm not going to go through all of it, and my apologies if you can't see every bit of this on your screen, but to give an example of a ladder of engagement, one of the organizations or one of the sort of entities in our country that tend to use a lot of volunteer and recruit volunteer leaders are animal shelters, okay? Animal shelters, generally speaking, do not have enough staff to help manage their load of animals that they take in and rescue and work with. And so this is sort of an example of how someone who, for example, likes a animal shelter on Facebook, from that person going from just someone liking a page to them actually working with the shelter, okay? And as you can see here, like each sort of activity, the organization actually purposely puts before this person to get them to become a leader, a volunteer leader in their organization. And in this example, I'll just briefly do it. The person likes the Facebook page, and then maybe they sign up to their email list, and then maybe they're asked to come and help out at an event, and say they do that, and then they are asked again to help plan an event. And slowly but surely, this person goes from just simply liking a page to being a volunteer leader in this animal shelter. And I actually want to stress, this is actually an actual example from an animal shelter that I volunteer with here in New York City. But I've actually looked at other cases and other organizations, and this is very simple. The whole idea of the ladder of engagement, again, is how do you move someone from simply being interested in your organization to being a leader? And the idea is that an organization needs to put before a potential person opportunities to take leadership and then eventually offer them leadership. And we're going to do the same thing here. Next slide. Okay, so this is sort of an example of how this may work with our particular program. And so this person is a person named Paul. Paul is at Carver. This is how we're going to recruit building leaders for the building teams that we want to build at the NYCHA developments. Okay, this is just an example, but we are likely to sort of turf them through these different opportunities and activities to find leaders. And I want to be clear and say here at the offset, particularly for people here who are volunteering by literally being on this call, I do not expect most of the people that we talk to become volunteers for this campaign. Okay, but we are going to find people who want to be a part of this effort because they want to change NYCHA. And I want to give them an opportunity to become a leader within our movement and in this organization, okay? So I want to be clear, this is not going to be for everybody, but this is how we're going to find, develop, and mentor the leaders that will help us build this campaign, okay? Next slide. I'm sorry. So as I said earlier, we are going to have these 15 volunteer teams. Those teams are going to be based at developments where we have determined through data that we have internally, where there are a large number of unregistered voters or a large number of people that we can get to sign voter pledges because they've not generally those voters have not voted in elections in a very high and consistent way, okay? And so the developments that we pick, we're going to pick in a targeted manner. We're not going to just randomly pick, say, some development. We want to really be targeted because one, we want to increase the registration rate at that development. And then two, we want to increase the overall turnout in that precinct as part of this work, okay? Next slide. So everyone likes titles. If we're going to build these teams, we want to give people titles. And here's sort of a working group list or sort of a draft list of titles that we want to give people that will be part of the team. And again, this would be just anyone in that development that wants to take on volunteer activity and roles, okay? I want to be clear, this is a draft. I haven't settled on these sort of teams, but we did settle on one important team leader, and that is the team leader, the person we are calling the building coordinator. So for all the teams that we recruit and develop in the developments, there will be a leader who will be the building coordinator. And this person we will work with, the staff of WEAC will work with to do the voter registration work and the voter engagement work, okay? But again, this is just a draft. This may change, but these are some of the roles, okay, that we're thinking the teams will have in mind. Next slide. All right, so if there's going to be a sort of a means by which we recruit and train leaders, we're going to need a way of building the teams and use a similar set. So first we need to recruit leaders, and then we need to work with those leaders to recruit teams under them, other people that will volunteer from the development to do the work, okay? This is sort of the ladder of engagement for them, okay? And it's somewhat similar to how we will recruit and develop leaders. But I just want to be clear here. All I'm saying is we will have sort of this process in which we'll recruit and develop leaders. And then once we've done that, we'll have a somewhat similar process to recruit and develop teams for the buildings under the leaders. All right, next slide. All right, so the fourth component, go to the slide before that. There we go. The third component is to register voters. And this is where we're going to need to do some tests. And I want to just give a sense to some of you how we're going to do this. Ultimately, we're going to need to register a lot of voters, month after month after month leading up to the primary. And because of COVID, we're going to need to try different approaches because we want to keep both the people that we want to register and ourselves safe. And so there are going to be 3 different ways that we're going to register voters. And we're going to test to see which one is the most efficient and least costly way of registering more voters per hour per person that is volunteering or a member of a staff, okay? The first will be basic voter registration that some of you may know. We will literally go knock on people's doors who we know, again, are not registered, and whom we want to get to sign a pledge. And we will ask them to register or sign a pledge. All right, so just basic door to door, telling people about this campaign and asking them to register to vote and to pledge. Then what we're going to try, and we've been doing this now, is essentially what we call sort of a sort of packet approach. And that is we're going to go to these doors, some of the doors, and we're going to, instead of knocking on the door, we're going to put a letter, and that letter inside sort of a packet. And inside that packet is going to be a letter that's addressed to that person, excuse me, that will tell them about the campaign. It will have a voter registration form in the packet, and it will ask them to fill out that form. And it will also tell them that we will come back in a few days to pick up their packet. Okay, so just imagine if you live in a building, you're going to see it one day. If we're in your building, you're going to see a packet that's taped to all the doors of people that we know are not registered, and that packet will have a mailer explaining who WEAC is, this campaign, telling them that we want them to register. It'll have a registration form, and it will say very clearly that we're going to come back and pick up that packet on a particular day, and that's to encourage them to actually fill it out. We have found throughout the country that this has worked really well. This particular tactic worked well both in Georgia, both in the runoff and in the general election. It worked really well in Texas, not, unfortunately not for the entire state, but for some congressional candidates that won. And it actually originates in California as a tactic, okay? So that's us literally going to doors and putting up these packets and collecting the packets. The third thing that we're gonna test for voter registration is mailing, okay? And essentially, we are simply going to mail everyone the packet. Instead of going to the doors and taping it, we're just going to mail everyone on a list who are unregistered in these NYCHA buildings. And we're going to ask, and we're going to put a return envelope or address so that they don't have to pay to mail it back to us. And that's another thing that we're going to do. So we're going to test all three of these ideas: knocking on doors, putting the packets up, taping them on people's doors, and then simply mail just to see what works. And mail also has been found to work really, really well. And generally we have found, and we may not, I'm not sure this may happen in New York, and that's why we're testing it, but we have found that the mail approach is cheaper and gets more registrations than simply knocking on people's doors. Again, that's just data from just other parts of the country. We're gonna need to test it here, but those are the three ways that we're going to register to vote. And again, that is registering voters is a critical component 3 in our plan. Okay, next slide. As I said earlier, one of the goals is to do educational videos. One of the components is to inform folks. And these are just going to be videos, really nice videos that I will work with Chris, who you heard from earlier. And it will help sort of inform and educate everyone, both the folks that we're talking to in our voter engagement work, but also all of you, all of our WEAC members, about this work. Okay, we're going to start doing these videos fairly soon. There are going to be 5. This is the content of the different videos that we will do. We'll do a video about NYCHA, its operations, and how it works, and what its history, and that sort of thing, because a lot of folks don't actually know that. And I think it's important that they do if we're going to ask them to join a campaign about fixing NYCHA, right? Another one is going to be the platform. As I said earlier, we have been working with, and some of these folks are on the call. We've been working with a cohort of folks that live in NYCHA to help develop this platform of changes we want to see to NYCHA. So we're going to do a video about that. We're going to do a video about the candidates that we're going to likely endorse through a separate process and organization, which we won't talk about today. We're going to do a video that will be a voter guide. So once we've endorsed these candidates, we're going to have a video that says, okay, everyone, these are the people that support WEAC, support our mission, support the platform, vote for them, right? And in this preference order, because again, we're going to have to rank choice vote on our ballot this year. And then again, we are going to do a video about ranked choice voting so that all of the folks that we've talked to through this campaign and all of you, our members, understand how to ranked choice vote on your ballot this year for either the primary or the general election in November and moving forward. Okay, next slide. All right, we are going to, in terms of how we're going to get this to folks, we are going to create these videos and host them somewhere, likely YouTube, and we are likely going to send them to our members through video or through text. Okay, I just want to be clear about that. And just to ensure that folks get a sense, just that we get a sense that you all are sort of get what's happening in the videos, there might be a short little quiz that we put in the video that we ask folks to take. So we get a sense of that you all are sort of learning from this, that you're actually learning things about the video. Okay, but I just wanted to be clear that the way that you all will get these videos is we'll send them through email, through our social channels. They'll be hosted likely on YouTube, and there might be this sort of test that we do just to get a sense that you all know what's going on. Okay, next slide. And then GOTV. So this is the 5th and final component, or fifth component. For GOTV, the GOTV, we are going to have a very detailed plan for GOTV. I'm not going to go through it here because we don't have time. But the elements of the plan, so the core elements of that plan is that we will work with the building teams to give them a sort of a vote goal. Okay, so for their development, we're going to say, okay, you've registered this number of people over the last few months. You've got these number of pledges. This is what here's kind of the number that we need to hit. in order to improve our turnout overall for this building and thus overall for this campaign. And let's go hit that number. And so we're going to work with the teams and say, hey, here's sort of the vote goal that we have. And then we're going to have teams, go to folks' doors and use, say, door hangers. So we'll go to the doors of people that we know that we've talked to, that we've registered, or that have pledged, and say, hey, the election is coming. The door hanger will say, hey, the election's coming. This is the precinct. This is where to go. And these are the candidates that we need you to vote for. And on GOTV weekend, we'll, use that opportunity to go back to those folks and again, make sure that they actually vote so that we actually get the vote out. Okay. Next slide. All right, so I'm coming to the end here. I know I've talked a lot. We are going to have a few minutes here to do questions. I just want to be clear what the role of members could be in this work. Okay, as I said earlier, a lot of this is working with and recruiting a whole new crop of wonderful human beings that live in NYCHA that will get out the vote in their communities. Okay, but we do want members to be involved with this, and there's sort of 4 key opportunities that will bring your way if you want to be a part of this. Okay, the first is you can join a building team. We imagine that our teams will be up and running by mid-March, okay, or earlier, probably. And at that point, we're gonna say, hey, there's a building team at Carver, and they're registering voters, or they're getting pledges, and they're doing it on these days. You can actually, we do want members to join teams that may not live in NYCHA. Okay, so that's one way to be involved. And of course, the teams will have a lot of stuff for you to do in terms of the registration work and the voter pledge work. Another thing you can do is you can attend our candidate forums. We will have candidate forums with the candidates, with other partner groups that we're working with. Okay, so other groups in the city that care about NYCHA and housing issues and environmental justice and climate change. We are going to have these forums. We absolutely want you to attend them. And we're thinking that a lot of them will happen between early March and in the middle of May. Okay. Some might be earlier, but generally that's when we think we're going to do them. The third is to spread the word on social about this campaign. As I said earlier, there will be a moment where we have a campaign name and a slogan and all that stuff, right? And we would love people to share the messages of this campaign so that we lift this campaign as a major part of the New York elections this year. We want everyone in New York, even if they don't live in NYCHA, to know about this campaign and what these folks are doing to improve this critical part of our country, of our city, and the infrastructure of the city. And then finally, you can volunteer for GOTV. There will be 2 GOTV periods, one in May, leading up to the late May, early June, leading up to the June 22nd primary. And then there will be one, obviously, for November, for the November general election. Okay. All right. So I just want to pause there, and we do have a little over a few minutes, 4 or 5 minutes for questions, and then we do have an exercise for everyone to go through. So if you have a question, just raise your hand or put it in the chat box.
Do we have any questions in the chat box?
We do. So let me start with the first. What is GOTV, Christopher? GOTV, I'm sorry, I know I use acronyms, and thank you, Tina, for telling me not to do that. GOTV means get out the vote. And specifically what it means is through our voter pledge work and our voter registration work, we're going to identify thousands of people, probably 4,000 to 5,000, hopefully, if we get this right. And we're going to talk to those folks several times and tell them about the candidates and about how to rank choice vote. And there will be a number that I have that I'll share with Peggy and all of you and our members. Like, this is the number that we need to get out the vote in order to increase turnout rates for this election. And so that number that we have, that sort of number that I talked about that I'll break up and share with the building teams when we build them, is our GOTV goal. Okay, our get out the vote goal. I'm assuming your outreach will be multilingual. Yes, it sure will. Please, okay, what are the NYCHA developments? What are the NYCHA developments for the voter registration effort? It's a great question. we actually just finished an analysis that I needed to do, again, to figure out sort of where there are a lot of unregistered people per building in a NYCHA development, and then similarly, sort of where there are certain types of voters that generally don't vote in elections that we want to turn out for this election. We just finished an analysis of that, which I need to do for the GOTV plan. I don't have the list in front of me, but what I will do is I will absolutely share in a next membership meeting where I update folks on sort of this plan. I will share with you ahead of time what that is. But if you want to know beforehand, just email me and I'll share my email address right at the end. Okay. Are people who don't live in NYCHA allowed to participate? This was a question from Ms. Johnson. Yes, you are, as I said earlier. We plan to hopefully have the teams built and ready to go by early March. Okay, the teams per NYCHA development. At that point, we will let every member know that these are the teams, this is the team leader, this is what they're doing, and this is the registration efforts they're doing, this is the pledge work they're doing. Please go help volunteer with them. So we will absolutely do that. And then I believe that's it. There were some questions about endorsements. As Peggy and others have mentioned over the last few weeks, we have definitely had, we are in the process of building another sort of organization which will allow us to legally endorse candidates. Okay, it is through that organization, which is it's an organization that WEACT controls, which will allow us to make those endorsements and other things with those candidates. Okay, I didn't want to go through a lot of that in this conversation because it gets into sort of legal weeds, but WEACT will have the means and the ability to endorse candidates and praise them and challenge them if we need to publicly through this separate organization that we're building. We'll have more about that in the next general meeting. My hope is that in our next membership meeting, Peggy and I will be able to more fully discuss this with you. But right now, just know that WEACT for Environmental Justice will not do the endorsements. We'll have a separate organization legally that will be able to do that. Peggy, I don't know if you want to say anything more about that, but just wanted to make that clear.
Sure. So several months ago, we got our certification from the state for a 501c4 organization. It's called WEACT for Change. And through that organization, we will be doing more lobbying in terms of our Albany work. As many of you have already gone to Albany with us, we are able as a C3 organization to do a certain amount of lobbying, which we have done over the years to help contribute to strong progressive legislation that protects our communities. And so we now do have a C4 political arm of our organization that will be doing candidate forums, voter guides, endorsements if we choose to do endorsements. So yes, we will be able to do that legally, and we have legal representation to support us in that effort as well. And so next meeting, we will go, more significantly into how that will play out.
Yes.
Great, thank you, Peggy. Chris, we have Christopher, we have Donna Gill has a question. Do you mind if we take a couple more questions, or do you want to go on to your next exercise?
Let me go ahead and take it, and then let's set up the exercise. So I do want to take one more question, and then I want to, if we can we go to the very last slide that has my email before I take Donna's question? Okay. So that's my email, everyone. I know a lot of you have questions that we're not able to get to, but we do need to move on to the other exercise. Just go ahead and email me for whatever questions you have about this plan, the different components, the goals, 501c3, C4, that sort of thing, and I'm more than happy to respond to them. But let's take one more question. Go ahead, Donna.
Okay, thank you
You
very
always
much.
ask the
I
tough.
appreciate it.
You always ask the toughest questions, so I'm looking forward to this.
Not a tough question, no. Actually, it's about RCV. I see
Okay.
that you want to roll it out in June. I think that we may need to roll it out into every part of the conversation because the volunteers also need to know how to explain RCV to people that they're asking to register. And because this is so new in New York, and there is a challenge to RCV with the Black and Puerto Rican caucus in City Council. So they may be getting conflicting messages, and we don't want people to just hear about it in June and be confused. So that's my own question. That's not really
it's feedback. It's feedback. Yeah. I really appreciate that, and I think you're right. I should say that the video is it was mostly going to be for those that we've through this work that we've contacted, and then for general members. I should say that for our volunteers, not just general members and general people that we talk to that we've registered or whatever, the plan is for me to do some RCV trainings via Zoom or conference call with volunteers so that you will all get that information early, because right now I've seen it on both Twitter and Facebook. There's already disinformation about RCV because there are some interests in this world that don't want people of color to vote in New York City. So yes, so I just want you to know that we are going to, for those of you that will be volunteering, we are going to make sure that you get this training on RCV in terms of how to vote on such a ballot earlier. It will likely happen at the end of February. But I will think about moving up for everyone else that video to maybe earlier because of what we're seeing in terms of the misinformation and the disinformation about ranked choice voting. That's a great point, Donna.
Okay, Chris, let's move on to your next exercise.
Yes, so just for around 7 minutes, we're going to, so if we can go to the exercise slide, I think it's 5 slides. There we go, breakout. All right, so we're gonna break out in groups of 8 to 10 for just around 6 or 7 minutes. And we're gonna, when you're in your group, just pick someone to facilitate and facilitate the question. And if someone could take notes, that's great. But just generally when you're in the group, just someone just say, hey, who wants to facilitate? And then that person should facilitate. And essentially this is what you're gonna just discuss, okay? Just brainstorm 1 or 2 ideas for a registration event that we would hold in or near a NYCHA development. And the key thing here is we wanna make that event interesting or useful to the people in NYCHA who are not registered at that development, and register lots of people. So again, when you're in your breakout group, just someone choose to facilitate. Okay, someone just step up and say, okay, everyone, let's discuss, let's brainstorm. What's a registration event that could be interesting or fun or informative and where lots of people would come that we could register to vote. All right. And then we'll try to finish up, not at 11:45, but we'll try to finish up at 11:52. Okay, at 11:52. All right, so let's go into the breakouts. Pick a facilitator. If someone can take notes, that's great. No worries if not. And then brainstorm this idea, sort of a registration event that'd be fun, interesting, informative, where lots of people could come to a NYCHA development that we could register to vote.
Okay,
and then
we'll make that happen. Bean?
All right.
There you go. Let's break out the groups.
Let me stop sharing so I can do this properly. Okay. Oh. Sorry, 1 second. Okay.
Glenn, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Are they working? I'm gonna start up the breakout rooms again. Accidentally close it, so if it closes, I'll put it back on. All right. Hi, anyone? Peggy, are you in my group now?
I don't see anything.
There are breakout rooms put up, but then there's a great deal of people who still haven't been assigned. So
I guess they're staying here then.
I guess we can do that.
yeah. Okay, so some ideas for a registration event.
So what are we discussing?
We're discussing coming up with an idea or two of how to to create a fun registration event near or at a NYCHA development.
Okay.
Anyone have any?
Registration.
Is there a way we can do like a poetry slam since we have to do it like social distance wise? Just have NYCHA residents who's into poetry sign up to come do like spoken word during that time.
Cool idea. Okay.
I was going to say live music. If you could get, musicians who haven't played, they might be willing to volunteer their time.
Can we collaborate with some of the health insurance networks that do like health fairs or like outdoor events in their own?
This is Tina. I would like to suggest a lobby party. In the past, when we had, I live in public housing, and in the past when we had an active tenant patrol, oftentimes many people would sign petitions or even register to vote or make a pledge in the lobby when they come in to get their mail and they come in to wait for the elevator. So maybe, like having a sort of semi-formal event, not where people get dressed up, but like, where it's actually a party and people aren't just walking through. And they can come down and they can register to vote, and they can maybe give a little bit of information about what they would like to see change, or they can hear about the platform. But I think that could be something that happens on a regular basis. And that's my suggestion.
The lobby isn't really big enough for social distancing, is it?
Well, I think it is, one. Two, we're not really social distancing in NYCHA at all. There is no social distance, but the lobby is the biggest area that we have availability to, because a lot of the perambulator rooms or community rooms we no longer have access to. But the lobby is like a large space, and it could carry out into the porch or the outside area as the weather permits. But there would be enough room to have a few people circulating to discuss things with people, and to maybe have a small table set up with paperwork and stuff like that. It's happened in the past, so I have like, a visual of it working. And I'm suggesting that we try to tailor it towards this exercise, because it might be in certain developments or certain buildings where the lobby is big. It would be a good way to catch people.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah, I second Peggy's concern. I've been working with schools, studying the ventilation problems. There's a lot of problems with lack of ventilation, especially in those lobbies. And to bring people in that close is very,
People are
very.
already in that close because they have to get upstairs to their apartments, and it's impossible to socially distance on
No, I
the
understand,
elevator.
but
No,
when
but
we
wait,
say-
let me finish. And
I'm
then
sorry.
some buildings have small lobbies where this would not be possible, but there are other buildings that have large lobbies that would be possible. So, like it might not be something we can do across the board the same way, but it's actually an option that has worked in the past when people were more involved and politically active. So just a suggestion.
Thank you.
That's a good suggestion, and hopefully if people are vaccinated by then, but the weather will be better, so probably doing something outside as people are coming into the building is probably a better look, because we don't want our volunteers or our staff to be exposed. But yes, I think doing something close to people coming in and entering is a really good idea.
Thank you.
And hopefully we're all vaccinated by June. We'll see.
That might be not enough. People can still be carriers with the vaccination. I'm just very concerned that that considering the vaccination to be a panacea, and it's not. So it's going to take a while for us to put our guard down.
Thank you, Joel. Right.
I'd like to speak. How about we just make bulletin boards and have those posted in the lobbies with information posted on them?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, any other ideas for like an event to bring people together so that they can register for voting? So physically having people around, even though it's COVID times.
How do you bring people together when it's COVID?
Social distancing.
Have food. Food is always a pull.
Food distribution sites are always excellent places to get people. They're already socially distanced. They're already showing up. And also places where vaccinations and testing is taking place. Those are great places since they're already following that kind of protocol.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Maybe partnering with some group for some sort of field day event for like kids and have the parents come out. Kids run around and be naturally socially distant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, social distance.
Maybe outside parks and playgrounds, by April and May. The weather will be good.
Shopping centers and supermarkets, people go food shopping. So that's a great place also.
But I guess one of the issues is that we are trying to target NYCHA residents. So the closer we are to those buildings, the more likely we will get residents. Once you go to shopping areas, for instance, if we go to 125th Street, half the people we get are from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Right. Some
We're gonna
development
in 30 seconds, but get your last ideas in. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I've heard a lot of good ideas. So I think music is always great because it draws people as well. And I think someone recommended that already.
The poetry and the posters is a good idea. And I think evaluating the building space and the ideas from the people in the specific building maybe what the
Okay, we're all back. Wait, if you could just put up the slide just really quickly, the last two slides.
Sorry, Betty.
Hi.
Hey, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'll quickly end for you. Okay, not the next one, but the next one. Next slide. Okay. Well, I hope that was great, everyone. Thank you so much. We, in our group, our facilitator was Senator Jackson. So thank you, Senator Jackson, both for facilitating and for your long service, both to our community and as a partner with WEACT. Thank you for that. So we're not going to have time to do report backs, though. If you did have a great idea, I do want you to email them to me. Okay, so I can get these great ideas and incorporate them into the plan. I just wanted to talk through sort of our hopeful outcomes for this work. If you just go back to the next slide, and then we're going to end. Slide before that, thanks. I hope that, like I said, this is very ambitious. We're going to try to get it all done. Our hope is that we're going to have sort of new volunteer leaders who are skilled in organizing in our community, refined processes and norms for our ladder engagement. WEACT is both respected, but is also feared. More members, which means more power and more impact. And I finally just want to thank Peggy and the dearly departed Cecil for their support, for helping me shape this plan, and for all of our members for what you do. Next slide. Thank you so much. If you have questions or comments about the plan or to send me your idea, that is my email, casey@weact.org. casey@weact.org. And with that, we come to an end, and I'd like to pass it back to Charles. I think Charles might be having some technical difficulties.
The technical difficulty is I didn't unmute myself. That's
Go for it, buddy.
All right. So once again, I'd like to give a shout out to Bleen, who did all the technical stuff behind the scenes, and also to Nicole, who did a wonderful presentation on the community power, and to Christopher, who did a opening and welcoming presentation on the voter engagement. So in saying that, I don't want to keep everybody long. It's that time. And if you do not have our email addresses, please contact us. Call me. You have it on a text. And I want to let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. But there's a couple of things I just want to remind everyone who's a part of the Healthy Homes Working Group. We have a meeting on Tuesday. I'll be calling you and texting you. And looking forward to our next membership meeting, where we'll be talking about electrification on the out of gas that we're working on. So in saying that, everyone have a great Saturday, and we talking to you between now and our next membership. Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone.
Okay.
Happy Saturday.